is from the 10th chapter entitled The Opulence of the Absolute, text number 34 to 38. And let's write a bit of text. Text number 34. Mrityu sarvaharasjaham Udbhavascha bhavisyatam Kirtishirvakchanarinam Smritirmedatritikshama Mrityu sarvaharasjaham Udbhavascha bhavisyatam Kirtishirvakchanarinam Smritirmedatritikshama Mrityu sarvasharasjaham Udbhavascha bhavisyatam Kirtishirvakchanarinam Smritirmedatritikshama
Mrityu sarvaharasjaham
of future manifestations, Kirti, fame, Shri, opulence or beauty, Vak, fine speech, Cha, also, Narinam, of women, Smriti, memory, Meda, intelligence, Driti, firmness, Ksama, patience. I am all-devouring death, and I am the generating principle of all that is yet to be. Among women I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. Purport. As soon as a man is born, he dies at every moment. Thus death is devouring every living entity at every moment, but the last stroke is called death itself. That death is Krishna, and for future development all living entities undergo 6 basic changes. They are born, they grow, they remain for some time, they reproduce, they dwindle, and finally they vanish. Of these changes, the first is deliverance from the womb, and that is Krishna. The first generation is the beginning of all future activities. The 7 opulences listed, fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience, are considered feminine. If a person possesses all of them, or some of them, he becomes glorious. If a man is famous as a righteous man, that makes him glorious. Sanskrit is a perfect language, and is therefore glorious, very glorious. If after studying one can remember a subject matter, he is gifted with a good memory or smriti, and the ability not only to read many books on different subject matters, but to understand them and apply them when necessary is intelligence, meda, another opulence. The ability to overcome unsteadiness is called firmness or steadfastness, driti. And one is fully qualified, yet is humble and gentle, and one is able to keep his balance, both in sorrow and in the ecstasy of joy. He has the opulence called patience, ksama. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gnana Salakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So first we'll look at the 2 lines, Mritya Sarvarascha and Upavascha Bhavishyatam. Krishna is taking everything away. Mritya Sarvarascha, all devouring, sarvahara, or taking away, stealing away. So in the form of death, Krishna is taking everything away. And yet, also, everything is coming into being again, and Krishna is also the generating principle of all which is yet to be in the future. So we are seeing that is the material world, an endless arrangement of cycles, of things coming into being, and things being destroyed, and again coming into being, and being destroyed. I was speaking to a doctor who works in a hospital, in the emergency section of the hospital. So it is constantly a matter of life and death, constantly on the very edge, and it's a very intense job, like really like a high pressure job, and people like that obviously have a lot to digest, yeah, it's like that in this world, there comes this car with the blue flashlight and the siren, and out of the way, an ambulance, is racing to reach a hospital out of the way, because it's a matter of life and death. And especially in the West, there's more pressure on this. In India, less, because life and death is such a thing, it just goes on eternity. So it is a fact that actually so much importance is given to matters of life and death. That is put like first priority in society. But actually that is not first priority. First priority is simply how much are we serving Krishna. Devotional service to Krishna is the first priority, not life and death. Life and death, it just goes on and on and on and on, and it is actually not as dramatic as it appears, because Prabhupada explained, he said that actually death is like going to sleep for 7 months, and then you wake up in the womb, and then you come back to consciousness again in the womb. And Prabhupada says then, and so do the scriptures say, at that time consciousness is developed. The embryo in the womb is remembering the previous life. The previous life is forgotten at birth, because at that time the shock of going through the whole birth process, it is not only painful for the mother, but also painful for the child, obviously, to be squeezed out. You squeeze a baby that hard, see what noise comes out. It's like they'll cry for that. It's painful. And then in that traumatic experience of birth and coming into the world, forgetfulness comes in by Krishna's arrangement. That's the Vedic perspective. Some may believe it, some may not. That's all right, we don't care. But this birth and death, it will go on and on as long as our consciousness is connected and attached to matter. So that is not of primary importance. The service we do for Krishna is the only thing that is eternal. Here we are continuing the second half of the verse with the qualities that are appreciated in ladies, right? Kirti Srir Vakchanarinam Smitir Meda Tritik Sama, or fame, it is said. Sri, opulence or beauty. Vak, fine speech. Memory, intelligence. Titi, firmness. Ksama, patience. So this chapter is describing the opulence of the Absolute, and it gives in different ways how Krishna is manifesting his opulence also in this world. We cannot see the world separate from Krishna. It is, after all, Krishna's energy. Aham Savasya Prabhavo Matas. Well, let me just start again. I just told it to you today. Aham Savasya Prabhavo Matas. Okay, I give up. It's all right. If you know it, good for you. If you don't know it, you're missing out. Everything is emanating from Krishna. Everything. Krishna is the all-good Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the wise who know this perfectly, Buddha Bhava Samandrita, worship me with love. Because the wise, they can see it's all coming from Krishna. It is all good. Therefore, birth and death, it's all Krishna's arrangement. And it's not, the issue is not that we die. The issue is in what consciousness do we die. We died so many times, but in what consciousness do we die? Yam yam vapi swaram vavam. That is the point. In what consciousness do we die? Because karmana daivanetrena, that consciousness carries us forward to the next destination. So, therefore, in this world, which is also Krishna's energy, he's the origin of everything, of the spiritual and the material worlds. And he is manifesting his opulences also in this material world. When we see greatness in this world, then through that we see something of Krishna. We see the greatness of Krishna. That is the nature of this chapter. it shows how the opulences of Krishna are manifest in this world, the greatness of Krishna, and we're seeing it. This chapter is in Sanskrit known as Vibhuti Yoga. Vibhuti means the opulences of Krishna. So Krishna is showing some of his great qualities. The great qualities of Krishna are also manifesting in this world in other living beings. So all these living beings are in other aspects of nature. So nature and living beings are empowered by Krishna. So when a lady is pious, when she has behaved pious in a previous life, then she is blessed this life to become more transparent to Krishna's opulences. If she was not so pious, then she will not have these qualities. Then she will not have fame. Where there's fame, fame is a great opulence which gives us a platform to influence people. So fame is nice in the nice aspect of fame, besides that people adore you and give you, like, you know, it's also that you can share your ideas and the people may listen to them. Yeah. Because when you're a nobody, who will listen to you? You know, I mean, who said that? So and so. Never heard of that person. I mean, it's like dismissed. Fame. Oh, a famous person said. Oh, I see. Then we take it more serious. So fame like this gives us a platform from which we are appreciated. So it's a great frustration when nobody listens to you. I know all about it. It's like, it's just, you know, your whole life, no one ever listens to you. Isn't it very frustrating? What to do? And, you know, and it's not that, you know, you're just, that you always want to be right. But what can you do when you happen to be right? And nobody listens to you. So this fame is an opulence. Is an opulence. Shriyar, Sri. We see that beauty and fine features are often not just manifest on the gross physical platform, but also on the subtle platform. And that, like, a refinement is found. We see that Brahminical people who are in the mode of goodness have refinement of mind and refinement of body. We see some people, I remember I was responsible for a while of the farm in Spain, and there are trees there, and there was always this man who would come and who would offer to cut down our trees with a chainsaw and give a lot of money for it. And his name was Primitivo. That was just quite comically an interesting twist, you know. Anyway, what to do? So some people, they have that kind of mind, that kind of body also grows, and they get into gross things, cutting down forests, and not refined. So we see that there is often a correlation between physical and also mental refinement. Beauty is a gift like that, and we see in great pious souls, we see beauty in character and beauty in nature. Of course, Putana, was also quite beautiful, so I heard. So it's not. But whenever that happens, right? Whenever that happens, we feel kind of disillusioned. You know, when a man sees a beautiful lady, right? Then he idealizes her in the mind. She's not only beautiful, she's a princess. She's kind of like a fairy, you know, from like another world. He turns her into something like a very noble person. Just think of Kaikeyi, you know, think of Dasarath and Kaikeyi, who was this beautiful young queen. And he was totally enamored by Kaikeyi, and he always thought that Kaikeyi was completely noble and a wonderful, like, you know, personality, and then she acted out of character. And she just wanted to ban Ram, and he just couldn't believe it, you know. I mean, like, but how can Kaikeyi, it's not Kaikeyi. I mean, how can this be that she is asking Ram to go to the forest? Ram to the forest, Kaikeyi. I mean, how is it? It just, he couldn't compute, because automatically, by seeing the beauty, he was also ascribing noble character to Kaikeyi. That's interesting, because often these go hand in hand, but as we know, not always. Yes. Ravana was also very athletic and attractive, and kind of your handsome type, if you know what I mean. Anyway, we'll go on to the next, I think, Vak. Fine speech, also mentioned. Fine speech. So, it's to be heard. To be heard. Ladies especially, are blessed when they have this fine speech, you know. I mean, you see these kind of movies. I mean, this one in my memory is somewhere in Italy, and, you know, it's an Italian house, and these two little wooden window shutters flap open, and this lady comes from the window and it's a lot of it doesn't work. I'm very sorry for those who kind of feel they identify with the part, but whoever, you know, I'm not going to try and identify anyone with the part. I'm just staying with the prototype, you know, from the lady behind the Italian window. And all I can say is, it doesn't work. And why not? Because that is not blessed. Yeah? It's the fine speech that is blessed. What can I say? That will produce, right, the result, the desired result. So yes, well, we see here that we see here qualities described, and it says these are opulences, and as we look at them, we also see that we can cultivate them. Right? It's not only something you have, you know, you can try. Although, you know, I mean, like for example, since I'm using nationalities, I am Dutch, and the Dutch are blunt, and I will always be blunt. You know, I don't think that this life I will be anything but blunt. And that's just the nature. And what can be done? So some things are kind of very much fixed by our karma, and can be changed, but are difficult to change. It's just deeply ingrained into our being, and you know, and at one point especially when we get older, we just decide, forget it. I am what I am, and I'm not going to play a part anymore. And, take it or leave it, this is the way it comes, right? There comes an age in life where you just get to that point, say, I am what I am. But, so yes, if you're not born with fine speech. Memory, some people have it for a while, If you have a good memory, don't worry, it will go away. That's all I can say. And then I read an interesting article, I can't remember where. But I read an interesting article. It was about worms eating holes in the brain. So you thought that forgetting was something mystical, but actually there are lots of people who have serious worms living in their brains, and these worms, they eat serious holes in the brains. Anyway, okay, let's go on to the next quote. Meda, intelligence. Srila Prabhupada defines intelligence in terms of spiritual intelligence. Right? Intelligence is not about the IQ, it's not about the EQ, it's about the SQ. It's about the spiritual quotient. It is about how much are we focused on understanding Krishna as the Supreme Lord, devotional service, the goal of life. That's intelligent. And then, knowledge is one thing, and the other thing is to act upon it in all circumstances. Less intelligence is to know and to then not do it because of external circumstances. That's less intelligent. Therefore it is said, Mandusu Mandamatayo Mandabhagya Yupadruta, in this age of Kali, everyone is less intelligent. We all know better and we just don't do it. That's the disease of the age. She gave me so many verses, so I have to speed up now. Driti. Driti.
It's okay if you don't finish them all.
Okay.
Chara will do it tomorrow.
Okay.
Take your remedies.
Okay. It's a serious amount of text, I mean, I can deal with them in another way, and that is I can read the verses and then dip into the purports. But if I have to read all the purports as well, then huh?
It's good to read the purports.
I know, but then I don't know how to do so many verses in such a short time.
Just do whatever
Yeah.
you can do.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
It's your show.
Okay, it's my show. I thought it was yours. Hare Krishna. Dritir is translated here as, in the word for word, as firmness in the text, in the verse. It is translated as steadfastness. So that's good, because if it was just firmness, we might be a little confused. But with steadfastness, it becomes very clear. To remain firm or steadfast in one's duties. That everyone has duties. That is the nature of the material world. You can't escape duty in the material world. It's just not possible. And as we see, steadfastness is what is required. That is required. So if we see that these qualities are lacking on us, okay, we have to try and work on it. Ksama is patience. Here is the translation, patience is given. Another translation of ksama is forgiveness. So that's interesting. Both are coming a little bit close to each other, because at times you have to be patient with someone. And they get on your nerves. They do, because they are just not, they are persistently just either not doing what you would want them to do, or doing what you would not want them to do. And even although you've communicated it, persistently this is going on. So if you can forgive them, then it's easier to remain patient. Of course, this is in a material context. If we are Krishna conscious, yeah, then it's bottom line is our service to Guru and our service to Srila Prabhupada. And when we care, we must care for Prabhupada's mission. We must care, and for that we must speak out. And when people, and even take trouble, what can be done? It must be done. Right? Of course, not always. Sometimes one must know to be silent. Right? See, some people, they fight every battle. They fight every battle because basically fighting battles is a relief of the steam that is built up inside, So they have to fight every battle. So they're fighting because they like fighting. That's not good. One may fight for the right cause, but don't fight losing battles. If you're sure you're going to win, then you fight. Otherwise, if you're not going to win, why fight? Forget it. Don't fight. It's not worth it. Just get a lot of headache and no result. You know what I mean? So don't fight losing battles. Fight the winning battles for Prabhupada. But we must fight some battles for Prabhupada. It's not just all sweet and rosy and nice and we're so patient and so soft-spoken and so gentle with each other and so on. No, it's to stand up for values. In a world where values are hard to find. Even amongst Vaishnavas, where slackness in values is very common. So we have to sometimes speak up, stand up and just say, no, this is not right, this can't go on. So that's there. But to fight the losing battles, that's no good. Another way, you have people who, when they fight a battle, they try to, they go over everything that they saved up from the last 10 years, put it all in one package, and throw it all on the person all at once. That is not very intelligent, because that diffuses the issue. Then, instead of giving one issue, which you could have won, you're giving 10 issues, and the result is people get confused about it, and you better get one thing done and try to get everything done. So so patience is something which is not easy. One has to look long term. That is the bottom line. One has to look long term. Long term result. If we're always acting in the long term, then life will be safalya, it will be successful. So it is that is. So patience is about that. So we go to the next verse, text 35. Brihat samatata sannam Gayatri chandasam aham Manasam margasirsoham Ritranam kusumakaraha. Brihat sama, the Brihat sama, Tata also, Samnam, of the Samaveda songs, Gayatri, the Gayatri hymns, Chandasam, of all poetry, Aham, I am, Manasam, of months, Margasirsa, the months of November, December, Aham, I am, Ritanam, of all seasons, Kushama, Akara, spring. Of the hymns in the Samaveda, I am the Brihat Sama, and of the potency of the poetry, I am the Gayatri. Of months, I am the Margasirsa, November, December, and of seasons, I am flower-bearing spring. Okay, we're going to read the purport in a moment. I'll just mention a little, before I get serious, I'll just mention a little story. We were once preaching in Benares, and we were there with a party, and there we came across a professor from the, Hindu, Banarsi Hindu University. And this professor did his thesis on the Samaveda, and for one thing he memorized the whole Samaveda. And then he started, like a storm, he started to recite the Samaveda. And after about 15 minutes, we're sort of looking at our watch and we go, how long is the Samaveda actually? I mean, yeah, it's like, I don't think we could wait till the end. At one point we just said, oh, this is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. It was too much. We couldn't even listen to the whole thing, That's how. Yeah, so in this age, this spirit of the mode of goodness, which is found in the Vedic culture, is a little absent. We want everything instant, quick, now, immediately. How long do I have to wait? Okay, where's the result? Are we going to chant these mantras all day long? Yeah, that's what we're doing. So here's the purport. It has already been explained that by the Lord that amongst all the Vedas, he is the Samaveda. The Samaveda is rich with beautiful songs played by the various demigods. One of these songs is the Brihad Sama, which is an exquisite melody and is sung at midnight. Okay. And this, I don't know anything about this, anything more than is here. So it's just information for me also. The Samaveda, within all the 4 Vedas, we find information about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but there's a lot of glorification of demigods also. That is, the whole Vedic culture is a culture of cultivating respect in all directions. See, our very difficult in our modern day culture. I like English as the language of Kali Yuga, because in English, you can have a conversation in 1 syllables. Hey man, how are you? Where you go? What you do? What's up? You can talk for 1 hour with 1 syllable words. Hey, Jack. So it's the perfect Kali Yuga language. And in this language also then, there is no more distinction made between people. Everyone is you, It doesn't matter if you're a dog or if you're God. You're you, Hey, you. You for everybody. Whereas, in other languages, more traditional languages, let's say, there is actually there are different honorific forms and so on, like in Sanskrit or even in Hindi, tum, and so on, right? Respectful forms. So the Vedic culture is completely designed like that. A very slow, respectful culture. A culture where we offer respect in all directions. Sometimes you read some verses in the Bhagavatam and basically someone is meeting someone and they begin like a very long, winded, question, how are you progressing in your practice? And I go, in New York he would say, get to the point, man. Can you get to the point? What do you want to say? So our modern day pace of life is so fast compared to this Vedic culture. We just don't have time for all that respect, and it sort of disappears. And we talk about the guy, and which is not a respectful word actually. If you call someone a guy, some guy, who's that? Some guy. In Hindi it means cow, but I don't know what they're trying to say with it. The guy, it's definitely not respectful. So in Vedic culture, So there is worship, there is respect of all superiors. So in the original Vedic understanding, worship of the demigods was not confused worship of the demigods. It was not that the demigods were worshipped as the supreme. No. It was understood that Vishnu was the supreme. Actually, I like statistics because they tell a story. And I was just looking in the Oxford Companion for Hinduism, and there it stated that 70% of Hindus in India are Vaishnavas today. So that's still 70% are Vaishnavas. That's still an impressive percentage. So we got the majority, you know, so it feels good. Feels good. But there was a time when practically 100%, practically. I mean, you read that some of the demons got it wrong. Right? Kamsa was worshipping Durga. Yes, Kamsa got it wrong. But over a whole, the Vedic culture was accepting Vishnu, Narayan, as the Supreme Lord. And that is really there in the Vedas. Not much I wanted to say. Since we're doing so much text, I think I should let in some questions because you are not able to remember if you have any points. So, not that you need to now, you know, jump on me right away, but as we carry on, if a question comes up, okay, let's take one at a time. In Sanskrit, there are definite rules that regulate poetry. Rhyme and meter are not written whimsically, as in much modern poetry. Among the regulated poetry, the Gayatri Mantra, which is chanted by the duly qualified Brahmanas, is the most prominent. The Gayatri Mantra is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the word Dimahi in the first verse. The Dimahi, which means to meditate, is a word that is found in the Gayatri Mantra and in various Gayatri Mantras. There's more than one Gayatri Mantra. Because the Gayatri Mantra is especially meant for God realization, it represents the Supreme Lord. The mantra is meant for spiritually advanced people, and when one attains success in chanting it, he can enter into the transcendental position of the Lord. I was reading about the Gayatri Mantra in the commentary of Baladev Vijaybhusan on the Vedanta Sutra. And he explains that the Gayatri Mantra stands on 4 legs, which I kind of liked. And he said 3 of these legs are basically mind, body, and words. And the 4th leg is the earth. So that's quite interesting, how the Gayatri is standing on the earth with 1 leg, which means that it is standing on on Brahminical culture. It stands on the mode of goodness. It stands on a particular way of life that we have here in this world. And that is why Gayatri has no value if it's just reduced to a poem, if it is just played over a speaker from a temple in the morning or on your stereo at home, then it has no potency. First of all, because the Gayatri, it stands on the earth, therefore it must be chanted by those who are situated in the mode of goodness. Second of all, because it deals with the Supreme, therefore one cannot approach the Supreme directly. That is not possible. Any attempt to approach the Supreme Lord directly will fail. Sampradaya bihina yamantas nisfalamata, says the Padma Purana. And that's exactly the Gayatri Mantra, because it's speaking about Diksha Mantra. Right? So that's the Gayatri Mantra. So it says that this mantra will be nisvala, it will not produce results if it is not coming through the disciplic succession or through the bona fide spiritual master. One cannot just start chanting the Gayatri on his own, because it's so refined. It's so refined, and the poetry is so refined, therefore we can discuss a little bit about Gayatri, and knowing that there's a lot more to say about Gayatri. Then one can take each word and give many meanings for each word, and then put it all together, and this way one can derive many meanings from the Gayatri Mantra. The principal meaning from the Gayatri Mantra, though, is that the Supreme Lord is behind everything, and the Supreme Lord is the life-giving force of everything, just like the sun is the life-giving force of all that lives on earth. So in this way we can see the Gayatri Mantra helps us to reconnect with the Supreme Lord when we get under the three modes of material nature. Because trivirgunamaya visamamidam jagat mohitam navijanati mamevi paramadiyam, that when you get involved with the material energy, there are the three modes of material nature, and mohitam navijanati, they bewilder the mind and make us forget the Supreme Lord. So, again and again, through Gayatri, we reawaken our focus on the Supreme Lord. The months of November, December is considered the best of all months, because in India grains are collected from the fields at this time, and people become very happy. Of course, spring is a season usually liked because it's neither too hot nor too cold, and the flowers and trees blossom and flourish. In spring there are also many ceremonies commemorating Krishna's pastimes. Therefore this is considered to be the most joyful of all seasons, and it is the representative of the Supreme Lord, Krishna. Some also say that this month of Magha Sirsa is most auspicious because the Bhagavad Gita was spoken in that month. Text 36 we can still do. No questions yet, huh? Okay, no problem.
I have a small.
Okay, good.
Is there a microphone here?
Yes.
Maharaj?
Yep.
You spoke before about the mode of goodness in Vedic culture. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yes. And it was said that there's a lot of slowness. Things go very slow and develop in a slow way. But yesterday we had that class by Janananda Swami and he said, he quoted Prabhupada who said, how to please him the best is don't waste time.
Yes.
And
How to rhyme the two. Okay. Well, there is a simple story about a goldsmith. And the goldsmith had a little hammer, and with his little hammer he was trying to shape an ornament. Very difficult, very refined work. So it's that the Vedic culture is like that, like the goldsmith. It's a very refined process of reshaping our lives. So the Sankirtan movement is a little different. The Sankirtan movement, it is said it is like the hammer of the blacksmith. It's like a big hammer, and in one blow, boff, okay, done. Right? So it goes kind of much faster, the Reformation, by the chanting of the Maha Mantra, and the not wasting any time is really, we can take it back to the advanced stages of devotional service. When you are an advanced devotee, you come to avyarta kalatvam, which means not to waste any time, to use every moment for Krishna. So I guess Janananda Maharaj was calling for the advanced stage of devotional service, where devotional service becomes more dense, you know, and you don't waste a moment. See, in the beginning, it's more like, I do a little devotional service. Boy, that was hard work. Wow, that was a lot of surrender. Now I deserve a break, and I deserve to go to the restaurant and have some ice cream, etc. Just, you know, to satisfy my senses a little bit. You know, that was serious surrender. And in this way, we tend to interrupt our service and our surrender all the time. Yeah? So in the advanced stages, ahaitikiyapatiyata, devotional service must become uninterrupted and also unmotivated. No hidden motivation. You know, we do devotional service. I saw this beautiful four-wheel drive and a number plate that said, "For you, Krishna." And I was thinking, yeah, sure, buddy. I don't know, I haven't seen your cars, no, it wasn't here. And in the country where it is anyway, I'm sorry. I'll probably see it on the internet and so on. But it's so obvious, yes.
I have a question. I can't remember exactly what you were saying, but there were a couple of points you made. Can you differentiate between making a value judgment and discriminating?
A value judgment and discriminating. Discriminating basically means is that we are trying to analyze a situation which is complex, made up of various elements, and we're trying, by discriminating, we're trying to analyze it and look at the various elements and the relationships there are between those elements. That's really discriminating. A value judgment then is when we begin to decide whether we like that arrangement, obviously, or not, and whether we think it should be changed and adjusted. Then we make a value judgment. So before making a value judgment, we have to do that exercise of discriminating. And if we start to make all kinds of value judgments on the spot, then it's kind of shooting off the hip, or, you know, like shoot first and ask questions later. That kind of reeks of the mode of passion, or ignorance even, and at times can cause great distress, both for us and for others. So it's not like, generally speaking, we avoid that. Some situations, though, require that you shoot off the hip and you make the best of it, you know. In the Wild West, and then, you know, you have to, right? Huh? Right, right. The man who shoots faster than his shadow, right? Yeah, not like that also. Yeah. But over a whole, I think, you know, sometimes if I look at the history of our movement and the social development of our movement, and in terms of applying your point of discrimination and value judgments, I think we've had too many six-shooters. And really, I feel the time comes, like, let's put more emphasis on some discrimination and being thoughtful. Because, you know, the mode of ignorance is known for laziness, the mode of passion for action, and the mode of goodness for thoughtfulness. So I think we need a good dose of thoughtfulness in our movement to just make things a little more sane. It would help, would make it easier to kind of, you know, I love ISKCON, but it would make it easier to stay in it. It was a little more sane. don't mean that in a bad way. I guess that was the Dutchman coming out. What to do? Can't keep him down all the time. You had a question.
I didn't understand this so well about Gayatri Mantra and 4 legs.
And the
one,
4 legs.
And one of leg is words.
And one leg is what?
Words, so body,
Mind, body, and words.
So what this means words there, because we don't pronounce it, but we keep in mind.
Yes. It basically, the mind, body, and words, it basically governs essential aspects of consciousness. Body deals with how we are accepting austerities on the physical plane. All of us accept duties on the bodily platform, certain principles that bind us and limit us, and have both prohibitions and favorable duties to perform. And the same for the mind and the words. So the Gayatri is engaging these. It's obviously it gives us, for the body, a particular way of life, seeing things in perspective with the Supreme Lord. It gives us, for the mind, a priority, clearly. Krishna's interest before any other interest. And to think along those ways. And in words, the same, Let me always glorify Krishna. Because glorification of Krishna is the juice of life. That's what it's all about. Sama Rabba, Yena Tena, Prakarena, Mama Krishna Sevya. Somehow or other. Always glorify Krishna. Constantly. Nirantar Krishna Nama Sankirtan. Endless. Like that. More?
Going back to the
Going back.
first of today's verses.
Yeah, I knew that would happen with all these verses. Yeah.
What is intrinsically female or feminine about those qualities mentioned?
Okay. I'm just also going back. I think that of course we find them also in men. But beauty is less important to a man, in a sense, because a man, male and female, are in this world with each with their agenda. Everyone has his needs, and we're not just here to be pure devotees. We're here to enjoy. And then we're lucky if on the way a Vaishnava just crosses our path and sort of spoils all our plans that we had so carefully nurtured and arranged and so on. And then we take up spiritual life. Sometimes we have our reluctant moments. Okay, so the dynamics of male and female are best understood when we are looking at the pratibimba principle, or the reflection principle, that the material world is a reflection of the spiritual world, and that the male form represents the form of Krishna and the female form represents the form of Radharani. Then we are best looking at the situation. Then the female psychology is is best fitted by the role of Radharani, and the male psychology best fitted by the role of Krishna. So, of course, Krishna is also good looking, but Krishna is especially known as a pleasing talker. He has a way with words, and he does it all the time. Of course, the ladies, they talk back, they do. But Krishna takes many such initiatives of manipulating words. So we see that men in this world also have a strength in that. Men, they talk, they flatter, and the lady is impressed. The lady has her beauty. She can attract a man with that beauty, and Prabhupada is explaining there is a higher side and a lower side to that. The lower side, it's all about illicit sex. The higher side, it's about a lady who's trying to be attractive, to attract a man who will protect her. So and that's appropriate. That's how it should be. And so in this way, it is a good quality, also on the material plane. The fine speech, I kind of highlighted that before with the steadfastness means we should not just act emotional. So it may be highlighted for ladies because ladies by nature are emotional, and emotional means it may not be a straight line. We may go here and there and everywhere. So steadfastness will help to kind of, so I go this path, irregardless of emotions. So that may be a reason why it's an opulence for the ladies. Although the men these days are also zigzagging and pretty weak, so there's a lot of talk about equality for men and women in the world, and we have seen in literature of the last 100 years many efforts where women wanted equal rights with men and so on, or wanted to become equal to men. But reality has it different. Right? What actually happened is that men became equal to women. And that's the society we have. Right? So men have become like women. They have no firmness, they have no determination, they are not they have no steadfastness, they are just wavering in principles, and they're just, it's so difficult, and it's so, whereas they are meant to be strong like that. So in my books, most men are like women, I'm sorry to say, to the boys. But I think so. But where, for an emotional person, steadfastness may be difficult, maybe a challenge. It's here as a challenge. In that way I see them as female opulences. I hope no one took offense, especially a man this time, or ladies. But I think that's the problem. Many men are like women. It's nothing new to provide.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Another way of looking at it is that these particular qualities are fairly charming.
Yes.
So, and the difference between feminine qualities and male qualities, charming is just considered feminine.
Right.
Even if it's a man, it's still charming.
Yes.
Charming is still considered
Nice.
feminine.
Nice.
So it's not that it's everybody has these qualities,
Yes.
and it just happens that those particular qualities happen to be feminine qualities.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than, like, if you have a sense of feel for power, that's just considered a masculine power, quality, because generally it's carried off
Mm.
by mail.
Mhm.
So I don't know if it's,
Well, that's also nice. Very nice. Nice analysis. No, very good, very good. I think so. Better than me. I think better explanation. I'll go for hers. And it rings a bell, you know, like I saw this book which says that some countries are predominated by male qualities and some countries are predominated by female qualities.
matriarchal and patriarchal
There you go.
societies.
Well, yeah, maybe, okay, something like that. Now, matriarchal can also be like, you know, where the ladies are in control and so on, but...
The ladies are always in control.
Oh, well, I have this story, you know, like where there's a man is coming home and he's saying to his wife, "Who's boss in this house?" She smiles, she knows, and then the baby cries and both the parents go to the baby. Okay, well, what do I do now? I still have till 6:30, is it? Is that how it works?
Do I?
If I like, if I don't like, I can let him go. What you want? You want to go or you want to stay? The man
We could let it.
The man want to go and the ladies.
See, steadfast.
Yeah, all the good qualities. Nice. Okay, well, we can do this one, you know, it's a short one. Jutam charya tam asmi tejas tejasvinam aham jayusmi vyavasayusmi sattvam sattvatam aham. Jutam gambling charyatam of all cheats, asmi I am, teja the splendor, tejasvinam of everything splendid, aham I am, jaya victory, asmi I am, vyavasaya enterprise or adventure, asmi I am, sattva the strength, sattva vatam of the strong, aham I am. I'm also the gambling of cheats, and of the splendid, I am the splendor, and I'm victory, I'm adventure, and I'm the strength of the strong. Yeah, so Krishna has that ability to manipulate the material energy in so many ways, and he knows exactly how to get the favorable result. Because a gambler, a professional gambler is not gambling. He manipulates the either the dice or the Sakuni was expert in manipulating the dice. So it wasn't gambling. He knew he was going to win, but sometimes. So he might not. He's expert. So Krishna is expert in manipulating the material energy. That's how it can be seen. Let's read it actually in the purport. There are many kinds of cheaters all over the universe. Of all cheating processes, gambling stands supreme and therefore represents Krishna. As the Supreme, Krishna can be more deceitful than any mere man. If Krishna chooses to deceive a person, no one can surpass him in all his deceit. His greatness is not simply one-sided.
It is a male quality.
It's also. She got one
Sorry,
thing.
good percent.
Yeah, but you know, I can also cheat for Krishna, then it's okay. So it can be engaged in Krishna's service. A lot of cheating has been done for Krishna. Among the victorious, he is victory, he's the splendor of the splendid. Among the enterprising and industrious, he's the most enterprising, the most industrious. Among adventurers, he is the most adventurous, and among the strong, he's the strongest. When Krishna was present on earth, no one could surpass him in strength. Even in his childhood, he lifted Govardhan Hill No one can surpass him. And cheating, no one can surpass him in splendor, no one can surpass him in victory, no one can surpass him in enterprise, no one can surpass him in strength. So Krishna is known as Asamurdva. Asamurdva means that he has no equal. There's no one who's equal to Krishna. No one can compete with Krishna. No one is equal to Krishna. But then we understand that that's a philosophical point. But in this chapter, it's filled in. Right? We're beginning to see how Krishna is no one. And then Prabhupada in the purport is just doing it here. Among the victorious, he is victory. He's the splendor of the splendid. He's the most enterprise, the most industrious, most adventurous, strong amongst the strongest. In this way, no one can surpass Krishna in qualities, and that's why at the end of the day, the more we explore Krishna, the more we just wind up being amazed, because all the qualities that Krishna has are just so are beyond anything we've ever known. So each time. So therefore, to become Krishna conscious is not a process where we have to push the mind. We just have to discover Krishna, and then we will automatically be pulled towards Krishna. I sometimes use this metaphor of like the Ganga in Mayapur, which flows slowly on the side of the river, and in the middle of the river it's like full force. So when you go into the river in the beginning, you have to sort of push your body to move through the water. But when you go into the deeper portion, boy, I mean, it just grabs you and drags you along. So Krishna consciousness is like that. In the very beginning stages, we have to push ourselves a bit towards Krishna. But the more we actually discover Krishna, then we'll just be grabbed by the current that just pulls us towards Krishna. And we feel pulled, totally pulled. And you don't have to be completely faultless to feel pulled to Krishna. You can have some weakness, some bad quality, and still become pulled to Krishna. And I think that in the past maybe we put too much emphasis on pushing ourselves towards Krishna. Just push, push, push. And I think that could burn people out, possibly. So if we discover how wonderful Krishna is, then we become pulled by Krishna and feel that's a good thing. So we should explore Krishna's qualities, and that's what's going on in this chapter. And that's why we're going, why Krishna is beginning to reveal some of his opulences to Arjuna, just so that we get an idea of the nature of the. You cannot just say Krishna has all opulences. Okay, he has all opulences. Great, he has all. Amazing. But the more we hear how, therefore not only that he is the Supreme Lord, but how he is the Supreme Lord. And the more we discover how Krishna is the Supreme Lord, the more exciting it becomes. The more we feel drawn to Krishna. That's where we want to go. Okay, questions at the end, otherwise I am stopping. So we go through these verses in a slow fashion, sort of little meditative, looking at what is there. In this lecture we're sort of very close to the text. This is a lecture where we really explain the text. Some lectures, like you take a theme and then you develop the theme and you just speak in inspiration. But this one, we stay very close to the text, so that we get some depth in the text, and you can see that discussion is valuable. Like Bhagavad brought out like a very nice, two nice points. Right? One, that the feminine qualities are found both in men and women, and the qualities in themselves are feminine, and the other one that I'm also the gambling of cheats and that's a male quality. Right? Did I get
Actually,
Yeah.
that whole verse is that whole verse is more masculine qualities.
more masculine?
You know,
There you go.
victory and adventure.
Very good.
You're gonna victory. True. Nice. So see, the discussion is nice. So if someone has some insights, I'd like to hear. Yeah.
I have a question. In comparison to the material world and the spiritual world, so if you want to be promoted to the spiritual world, but so how great is the spiritual world? Like the Nectar of Devotion explains that the happiness derived from devotional service, the happiness derived from Brahman is a drop as compared to the as compared to the happiness derived from it. So, but still, I mean, I want to hear from you how great the spiritual world is. And
My favorite verse, my favorite explanation of that is Adi Lila, chapter 4, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Radharani's love, that is embracing the qualities of Krishna. And each time she discovers a new quality of Krishna, and then her love embraces that also. And this goes on eternally. So her love for Krishna is eternally growing. And the same thing happens with everyone. It's already happening to us now. You know, we're already discovering more and more about Krishna, and with it, our love for Krishna is actually developing and growing. And that goes on eternally. And then all these unlimited devotees, their love is eternally growing. And Krishna, in reciprocation, feels touched by that love, and his love is also growing. And then, when the devotees see that Krishna's love is growing in reciprocation for their love, then their love is growing. And when Krishna sees that the love of the devotees is growing in reciprocation of the love that is growing out of appreciating their love, then his love is also further growing. So imagine the whole spiritual world is just, it truly is inconceivable, mind-blowing. So I can only imagine it at this stage. It's just too big. The happiness is just too big. Too much good. Too much good. Yes. So anyway, the discussion is very nice on the Bhagavad Gita. And that we think together about the verse, because there we get, and the verses, because there we get very interesting angles. Prabhupada also wanted different speakers and to speak, and then he even asked regular devotees to speak. And daily a different devotee would speak to it, and that would give it like a different angle. I know that in one temple there was a devotee who said, I'm not going to the Bhagavatam classes anymore because the speakers are not perfect. So I'm staying in my room and I'm only listening to Prabhupada. So I get better. No, but Prabhupada said, in these discussions with devotees, you hear it from different angles, because every different individual angles, and this will broaden your vision. See, if you only hear yourself, it's actually the problem we have as sannyasis. Too much you hear yourself, because you give endless lectures. You always hear yourself. Right? So it's very nice if you get comments. No, it broadens the horizons. If we get into the habit of discussing the Shastra. So I was happy with the discussion today. Appreciate it. And thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. 37 is where it starts tomorrow.